Hi everyone, this is Elena of the Witches Box, and I'm here today with another episode of Witch Booktube, and today we're going to be talking about this book, Dreaming the Divine by Scott Cunningham. I've made reference to this book a few weeks ago when I talked about the DJ Conway book, The Witch's Guide to the Astral Realm, because this is the book that we had sent out in the December Witches book subscription box, along with the book that we talked about last week, which is The Great Work. Scott Cunningham has what I think is a really beautiful way of writing that just always feels timeless to me and always feels very nurturing to me. If you don't know about Scott Cunningham, let me read the bio really quick and then we're going to get into the book. Okay, Scott Cunningham was a much-loved writer whose classic book, Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner, introduced generations of young witches to the craft. The continued popularity of Cunningham's books on Wicca and natural magic is a testament to the power and truth of his writings. Let me tell you, I love him. I really do. Reading his books always feels incredibly seamless and easy for me, while also being incredibly educational and empowering. I really appreciate that about him. Yes, I if I were to say all of the books that I've read of his, are there some that may have some outdated language? I haven't experienced it in my rereads of the books we have reread so far. And I think that part of it is because he holds us in this beautiful space while educating us. And I don't know what it is. There is just some kind of magic going on with his writing, but it always feels very nurturing and very sweet, but also very wise and powerful in terms of the suggestions and education that he lends through his books. This is no different than that. Part of the reason why dreaming is something that I'm pretty heavily talking about at this point in the year, it's because we're in the winter. It's part of my own personal work. It tends to be an intuitive pull for me at this time of the year because it's darker longer. Typically, the last couple years or the last year and a half has been an odd year in terms of my own personal life because we're not able to travel, and my husband and I tend to live, we tend to live on the run. We don't live on the run, but we are digital nomads for the most part. And during the winter in the Northern Hemisphere, we usually come back to California where our home base is, where our family cabin is, where the Witches Box is stationed, headquartered. And because it's in the mountain town, because it's colder here than in other parts of California that you're usually thinking about, doing dream work during this time of the year here tends to be just an intuitive, natural pull for me. And even though we haven't been traveling, we're still here. It's still winter, and it's been very cold this year here, for me anyway. That it just made sense to have this theme kind of translate and bleed into the work that we're doing together in the Witches Box. And that's why in December, this book went out. But then in January, I sent out another book on dream work, which was more about the astral plane and astral travel. But I associate a lot of this as the same type of work, or everything living under one umbrella. If dream work and astral travel were things that really call to you, I think that both of these books can really provide you with an incredible foundation. This book in particular, I want to talk about a couple of things that this book provides you with, and then something that it provides you with that I don't think you need, but we'll talk about that too. I want you to tell me down below in the comments if reading the table of contents is helpful for you at all, because the last book that I talked about here at the Witches Booktube had a seriously extensive table of contents, but I thought at the time, it's the Great Workbook. It's somewhere here in the Witches Box YouTube channel. That table of contents was extensive, but I felt that it was important to kind of give you an idea of all the things that were going to be covered in this book, because it was so much and it was such an important point for getting the book and why I think the book is so amazing. But I often wonder, do you want me to read the table of contents? Is that helpful for you at all? So let me know in the comments below. With that said, I'm still going to read you the table of contents because I think it's important, at least for the discussion that I've got for you today. If later you say, Elena, I'm so over the damn table of contents, so do it again, I still may do it, but I probably won't do it as much. How's that? Okay, listen up. So he's divided this book into 3 parts, and the parts are day, night, and dawn. And then there are topics underneath each. So the mysteries of dreams, Egypt, the Middle East, Sumer, Babylon, and Assyria, Greece, Rome, Hawaii, North America, and dream books. So basically he's covering different approaches, different ideas, different philosophies and theories and mythologies around dreams and working in the dream time for all of those cultures. And that's under the day section of the book. In the night, he talks about sacred sleep, dream messengers, preparations for sacred sleep, dream rituals. And then the third part, which is dawn, is recalling and recording your dreams, dream interpretations, divine dreams, and sacred dreaming. There are a couple of appendices. The first one is the catalog of sacred dream symbols. There are dream deities, also in another appendice. And then another one is natural sleep-inducing techniques and dream spells. Yes, get this book for sure. This is a great foundational book. I love that he sets it up in the way that he sets it up. I love that he provides you with a multicultural approach and all the different views around the world about this particular time in our day and night cycle, and how to approach dreams, how to enhance dreams, how to record dreams. All of those things I think are phenomenal. One of the things that I think is probably, on top of all that, which is incredibly valuable, but one of the things that I think is probably the most valuable is establishing and doing spell work and magical work in the dream time. And he talks about that. I think that this isn't talked about enough. I think that it is a powerful tool. It enhances your capacity in both the waking and the dream state for so many things, for connection, for sensing energetic streams, for manifesting your magic, because you're supporting it with work that you're doing in the dream or astral realm. Very powerful, very important skill set that I think that we should all at least have a foundational basic understanding of. I love that. That's what I feel is probably one of the most important parts of this book. And then there are the things that everyone asks about that I think that we need to stop providing. So he gives you a list of, possible meanings for dream symbols. Everyone wants to know, hey, I dreamed about a cow flying over the moon. What does that mean? Hey, I don't know, my hand turned green, but the other one turned red. What could that mean? There's a lot of conversation and a lot of a need to have someone else do dream interpretation for them. If you've been paying attention to me, you know that on some level, I just can't ride with that, because what I think would be really more helpful is for you to facilitate you in establishing your own dictionary about your own symbols. You have your own dream language, and no amount of me sharing with you that a plate means this for me is really going to give you a lot of information, because it could be something completely different for you. And what I really want is for books to start writing about how to establish your own dictionary or your own symbol language in your dreams, because those things are going to be very personal to you. The other thing that came up in the discussion that we had for the live that we did for the book subscription for the DJ Conway book came by way of a couple of other questions that people ask. How do I know if it's my dream or if I'm receiving a message? Or how do I know if it's my dream or a past life memory, or I'm picking up on someone else's dream stream, or how do I know? And one of the ways that you become really adept at identifying one as opposed to the other, there are a couple of different ways to do that, but one of the most primary ways, is by understanding your language, your dream language. If you just set out the intention that every night I'm going to go to bed and I'm going to set the intention that tomorrow I'm going to remember with all the things that I dreamed. You wake up and you journal, whatever it was, images, sensations, feelings, themes, right? And just as a quickie aside, in the beginning, if you suck at this, you will get better over time, because just setting the intention to remember begins to exercise that muscle. So don't lose hope if you're like, I never remember my dreams. A week or 2 or 3 of setting that intention to remember and writing whatever you remember the next morning will strengthen that muscle very, very quickly. Okay? So don't get discouraged if you're just like, I don't remember anything. Once you start to really get a good idea about what your common themes are, what your common imageries are, what the common vibe and feeling of your dreams are, when something else clicks in for you, you'll know that it isn't just your dream, right? When different language or different symbolism comes up, when different vibration or different flavors of a dream come up, then you have information. This isn't common for me. I don't normally work this way in my dream time. This is different. Is it a download? Is it a premonition? Is it that I'm picking up on someone else? I shared a story in that live where I was living in a fourplex for a few years, and there were 3 other tenants aside from me in this, like, it was a huge house that was divided into 4 different apartments. And when I moved in, we had the same tenants for years. And then someone downstairs moved in, lovely person. But it was like in the instant that person moved in, the language and the feeling and the symbology and all of it in my dreams had completely shifted. Like I would wake up like, what the hell was that? That's not my stuff. And it wasn't the kind of dream that you would classify as I just downloaded information. It was like I'm reliving someone else's memories and they're not mine. And it's very clear that this doesn't fit with me. It doesn't taste like me. It doesn't feel like me. When the person moved out, those dreams were over. And for me, that was an indication of a couple of things. When you live in close proximity to people, you definitely want to set protection around your dreaming space. Both books talk about this. But also, for me, because I already had an understanding of what my general themes and feelings were in my dream work, or just in my regular subconscious working life out dreaming, it was very easy and quick for me to identify, this isn't mine. Like, this isn't mine at all. I'm tapping into something else, or I'm receiving or picking up on something that is very big in close proximity to me, and it's bleeding into my dreams. And because I had spent enough time at that point in my life, because this is 15, 16, 7, no, more than that, almost 20 years ago. It was almost 20 years ago. I had already done enough work where I had journaled my dreams, and I had started to pick up on what certain things mean, what certain things represent, what my dream language is. Understanding that baseline will give you a wealth of information in terms of identifying for yourself what is out of place, what is different, what is a download, what is a picking up on someone else's stream, what is a spirit guide coming in to say something to you, what is a premonition, all of those things, right? Did I actually astral project, or did I dream that? All of those things. Once you have that like baseline understanding of your language, identifying everything else is so much easier. This is why I feel like, I know everybody wants a list of what everything's supposed to mean in the dream time. Don't give into that. Really take the time to invest in yourself and understand for yourself what each of those things begin to mean for you, because themes will repeat. This is your subconscious mind's language in working things out. Things will always repeat for you. And what will happen too is that there are going to be themes in certain parts of your life that will repeat, and then fade away. New ones will come in. But you'll be able to detect for yourself what those phases are simply by setting the intention of remembering and writing things down the next day. You are your own dream scientist in that way. In any case, that is a very long, added blurb to my opinion on, I don't want books to tell you anymore what each thing is supposed to mean, because it doesn't mean that much. It really doesn't. You have that key for yourself. So, Dreaming the Divine, Techniques for Sacred Sleep by Scott Cunningham. Highly recommend it. Grab it, read it, work it, love it. And if you're doing dream work, I would love to hear about how you distinguish between your personal subconscious dreams, or whether you are receiving information, receiving premonitions, or other work. I would love to see how each of us kind of distinguishes those things for ourselves. There you go. Have a wonderful week.